Hello! So, this video is a little bit late. 4 years late, because I lost one of the figures I needed to do it. And it's taken me 4 years to force myself to buy a replacement one. The original's got to be around here somewhere. Anyway, 1979. What a year to be alive. I don't remember, I was only 3. But the point is, that's the year Alien was released, which was, and still is, an astonishingly brilliant sci-fi horror film. If you've never seen Alien, go watch it. I mean, you must be able to buy a DVD for like tuppence halfpenny by now, and it is absolutely fantastic. It is a masterclass in many different tropes and ideas that later became ingrained into the whole sort of sci-fi horror genre as it is. It has been often imitated and never bettered, because it all just comes together so well. And like the way they introduce the characters, it's just so good. Anyway, this is not directly relevant, but I'll give you a quick recap of the film anyway, without spoiling it, although I imagine the vast majority of you know exactly what happens in Alien. There's a load of what are effectively space truckers, just guys who run a spaceship that pulls minerals and ore back to the Earth. And as they're passing a planet, there is a distress signal given off. And their protocol dictates that they have to respond to distress signals. They have to land on this planet, ship gets damaged. And what they discover is an alien ship. As in a ship with sort of alien creatures running it. And they find the fossilised remains of this giant pilot in it. And it's all like, ooh, it's spooky. And then, they manage to kind of get the main gist of the signal it's giving out, and it seems to be a warning. Because it turns out there was another alien of a different type on that vessel, and it's not a very nice alien. And it laid eggs, and yeah, things don't turn out well for the spaceship Nostromo. Yeah, anyway, it's great. But the weird thing is, at the time it was released in 1979, Kenner, the company who were making the vintage action figures for Star Wars at the time, well, they weren't vintage at the time. They're known as vintage now. They were just Star Wars figures at the time. This is kind of odd thing, where they thought Alien would be the best thing to make figures for the kids for as well. I don't understand it, because there's no way a child is going to watch Alien to this day. It's properly unpleasant and visceral and scary, and there's sort of under-theme running all the way through it is a male fear of pregnancy. It's really not something that the kids are going to get. But no, Kenner got the rights to it and released an 18-inch action figure of the actual xenomorph, the alien Evilton from Alien. I don't have one to show you because, they go for £1 billion. They are quite beautiful. They're an astonishing toy for the time, and they're huge. But yeah, there were complaints from parents who fairly sensibly did ask, why is the scariest character from a horror film ever being sold to our kids who can't watch the film? Now they want to watch. What are you doing? What are you doing? Kenner kind of went, yeah, which was a common response from toy companies at the time, and removed all the Alien figures from the shelves. A tragedy for collectors, of course. But here's the thing. They had also planned a 3 3/4 inch line of figures, like the vintage Star Wars figures. Look, here's Han Solo. Here's what these sort of things looked like at the time, if you want to remember, because you have forgotten. So yeah, they thought kids might want the crew of the Nostromo and stuff. And they made full prototypes. And I mean, they had the moulds ready for producing the figures. But after the slight problems with the almighty 18-inch figure, pulling it off the shelves, they thought, maybe our Tom Skerritt action figures will have to wait. And indeed, they did wait until 2014, when the original moulds were found and then used to make actual figures that were sold by a company called ReAction. Well, a company called ReAction, eventually in conjunction with Funko. Yes, the Funko Pop people, they do actually do proper figures, and this was one of the most wonderful things they did. They helped these ReAction stuff get out to a mass market. So let's have a look at some of the figures then. Very much, remember, in the 70s style. They thought kids would want an Ellen Ripley figure. And in some ways they may have done, but here she is. Not looking particularly like Sigourney Weaver, not a million miles from it, but still a fair few thousand miles from it. With her action accessory, the bloody flamethrower, in a very old school action accessory sort of look with limited detail and all in one colour. But the actual moulding and, detail on the figure is not at all bad. You've got all sorts of little pockets and things in her jumpsuit. A little bit of red on the sides. I was going to say the paint's all right, but obviously the paint is a more modern thing, because, you know, they painted it recently to look like the prototypes. But yeah, you can sort of see this, it quite obviously is a 1979 action figure, basically, from Kenner. And it's just astonishing they managed to bring it back from the dead, so to speak. I do find the shoes a bit weird. They're very tall, the sort of trainers she's wearing. It makes it look like she's got cloven hooves or something. But other than that, absolute frickin' quality. Oh no, you dropped a flamethrower. Oh no. What are you going to do now when you get to that deleted scene where, like, Dallas and Brett are turning into eggs? Oops, spoilers. Well, not really. The scene's deleted. Let's have a look at the big one himself, or the big chap, as he is referred to frequently, the xenomorph, the xenomorph, however you pronounce it. He's a bloody alien, and he's fucking horrible. Yeah, this is not a bad figure at all, is it? It's got the double thumb thing. It's got a fair bit of detail, to say the least. The tail is good. This is really quality. You can imagine all the kids actually wanting one of these at the time before their parents refused and then apparently complained and had them taken off the shelves. Well, at least this one isn't 18 inches tall. It's considerably smaller, but still. Nice grey colour, which works quite well. And here's the thing, right? It's got an action feature. Well, two, technically. The brain glows in the dark. Seriously, is it glow-in-the-dark paint? But if you remove the head here, or sort of the skull cap, you can see the sort of indentations of the skull there. Skull more visible, if I remember, in the original Alien film than it was in the later ones. But you see its little tongue there, which is like the second mouth with snappy teeth in it. Push this, and it comes out. Except, I'll be honest, it doesn't really look like an extra mouth. It just looks like it's spitting out some Wrigley's Juicy Fruit or something. Juicy fruit dispenser. It's a Pez dispenser, basically, isn't it? It has got a bit too much of a Pez dispenser look to it. But we'll just put this back on and then pretend that never happened. But no, that's a heck of a figure, isn't it? Ah, the mighty H.R. Giger's designs. Did you know I was pronouncing his surname Geiger for like my whole life till I actually discovered it's pronounced Giger, so I felt like a right twit there. But yeah, based on the biomechanical art of the frankly terrifying artist Giger. I'm now going to actually... Oh, come on. I'm going to take a stab at it. If I remember correctly, this is specifically based on one of Giger's paintings called Necronom 4. And there's a distinct possibility I've got the name of that wrong, especially the number, but if I recall correctly, it's Necronom 4. If I'm wrong, I'll flash up the right one on the screen. Right. It's the captain of the ship. It's Dallas. That's right. Corbin Dallas from The Fifth Element. No, this is just Captain Dallas, mighty Tom Skerritt with his beard. Looks a bit more like him, but, you know, it's... The fact he's got a full beard really helps that. Slightly heavy 70s haircut, it must be said. Says Nostromo across his back, because that's the name of the ship. Comes with a flamethrower too, because let's face it, you can never have too many flamethrowers. And a very, very similar get-up to Ripley there, because he's in a similar sort of suit. Although with more human-shaped shoes, so that's fair enough. Again, not a bad figure. It's a shame they're just the sort of basic blue ones, because generally in the film they're in slightly more colourful get-up, if I recall. But hey... That all works. There we are. You sit down over there. Make sure you keep your flamethrower in case that thing... Nah, nothing gets past Han Solo, because he always shoots first. Or in fact, he's the only one who shoots. That always annoyed me, that. Han shot first. No, he's the only one who shot. Because when he shot, Greedo died. That's how these things work. Anyway, here's another character for you. Kane, played by the late, great John Hurt. And here he is in the spacesuits, the bulky, slightly freaky, futuristic spacesuits they wear. And, there he is. Hello! You can even take the hat off. Hey! Good old John Hurt. He was a nice guy. He used to do a lot of stuff in and around Norwich. He was the patron of the Arts University. Met him briefly once. Very nice fellow. Anyway, let's put his... hat back on there. To be honest, that doesn't really look much like him at all, I'll be honest with you. That is not very John Hurtish, but hey, he's got a nice hat. And look, there's the big light that goes on the top and everything. Oh no, face hugger. Oh, your visor did not stop him. There we are. Look, one of the paint apps on this one. It's got all the sort of proper colours going on. Yep, quality figure. And finally, it's Ian Holm, who played Bilbo Baggins in them Lord of the Rings and Hobbit films. Well, played old Bilbo in the Hobbit films, and he was Martin Freeman for the rest of it. But here he is, being Ash. Not physically, but Ash is the character. who, yeah, isn't the best of people, as it turns out. In fact, it turns out he's kind of not a person at all. He's some sort of bleeding robot, isn't he? And he's a bit loopy. And he's been told stuff that I'm not going to tell you because it'll spoil too much. But anyway, he's got his motion detector. Is the motion detector, if I recall, is it? Yes, I'm sure it is. And the face, I don't know. Yeah. Well, none of these Star Wars figures at the time were particularly facially accurate, and frankly, these are keeping that up, to say the least. But, yeah, you know who it's supposed to be. He's the right colours and everything. I think these are absolutely fascinating, how they've managed to go back in time, so to speak, and drag forward these figures that never existed, and make them goddamn exist. Absolutely fantastic. 10 points to ReAction. Let's have a look at the nice backing cards they would give you. Ah, look, here's Dallas's card. There he is. Hi, I'm Tom Skerritt. You may remember me from many films. I love the alien logo. This is all based on the packaging for the 18-inch figure, of course. And ReAction have even done their logo in a very similar font to the old Kenner logo. So, full points there. And on the back, the alien. Whoa, Ripley, Kane, Dallas, Ash, all your favourites. Manipulate teeth to attack. Yeah, don't really want teeth. His evil brains glow in the dark. That would be something of a problem. And look, Funko times Super 7. Yeah, Super 7 being the sort of company behind the ReAction idea, and Funko being the people who put them out there, I believe. But yeah, full marks. Do you like the design of that? There's something odd, though, right? Dallas has a photo of him on there. I believe Ripley's card had a photo of him on, but it seemed like, oh, Han, you can't stay sober for 5 minutes. He didn't actually seem to have the rights for the faces for some of the actors, right? Because Kane's one in the Nostromo spacesuit, they've gone to quite extreme lengths to make sure you can see nothing of his face whatsoever. And Ash, rather than Ian Holm, it's just a picture of the bloody xenomorph. It's just kind of... yeah, I'm going to guess they did not have the rights for the likenesses. Anyway, that was all they ever made. No, I'm lying. So, after the success of these, they decided to go back and then sculpt their own extra ones. Make some more, so to speak. And unfortunately, they didn't go and flesh out the crew, which is a shame. But they did slightly. We did get a figure of... No, now I think about it, they didn't flesh out the bloody crew at all. I was then going to say they did a figure of Kane. Yeah, we've already got a figure of bloody Kane. Well, they did a figure of Kane, not in his spacesuit. Here he is. Again, looking quite spectacularly nothing like John Hurt in this one. Looking more like Mr. Spock or something, frankly. And same legs as Ash over there, just repainted. But that is probably what they would have done in the 70s if they had released more, so that's entirely believable. But his accessory is... Oh no, face hugger. Oh, that's gonna hurt in the morning. Bless him. Now, that really is the pick of the second wave they released, to say the least. Because the other ones are another version of Ash, but this time with the chest burster coming out. And look, he did. He gone dead now. Blah, 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 blah. Yeah, just think of that scene in, was it Spaceballs? I forget, where the alien comes out and... It actually is John Hurt, that, isn't it? But yeah, it's a bit sort of gimmicky, pointless. You wouldn't have actually had this as a figure for children. I mean, those were designed as figures for children. That is not a thing that would have happened, is it? Also, he's looking very serene. If you've seen the scene where the chest burster bursts out of his frickin' chest, yeah, serenity is not something that's going on, either emotionally or the film that was a continuation of Firefly. Then there was Repaint of the Month Club, an entirely white spacesuit for Ripley being in it. Yeah, I mean, it's, it's a thing from the film, but it's just literally the... figure there, isn't it? Really is. You've just removed the light from the top and the whole thing's white. What is interesting, though, is that Ripley's head here is sculpted out of the plastic as opposed to being painted flesh colour. It's just been made in that colour, which makes it look slightly sharper and noticeably different. If anything, noticeably worse. Yeah, that's the thing, isn't it? And finally, yeah, this is nice. I do like this a lot. But again, it would have been nicer to have, Lambert or Parker or Brett or one of the others there. It is another xenomorph, but it is a very shiny one. Ooh, It's all glossy where it's been oiling itself. And, perhaps more relevantly, they've painted on the skull, so it's more obvious. You can sort of see the thing there. But I don't know, I like it, but the skull seems to be a bit OTT. And an entirely, of course, clear dome here. And yes, it still does the whole bit. But now it's dispensing a bar of silver. That's worthwhile. So yeah, kind of, I don't know, a little bit on this continuation. I mean, I don't think it was a bad idea to continue it. Obviously, it's not going to be as authentic, but because you can't get much more authentic than made from moulds, you know what I mean, that were made at the time. But I don't know. It just would have been nice to get the rest of the crew. Though I hear they are coming. They have finally said they're going to be releasing Lambert and Parker and Brett, and also versions of Ripley and Dallas that look more like they do, or dressed more like they are in the film more frequently. So that's pretty groovy, although I did also hear that apparently you have to buy 3 different 3-packs in order to get Lambert and Parker and Brett, because they all come individually with like another alien repaint and all that kind of stuff. So that's a bit... And there's also a version of Ash with his head missing, which is another thing that happens in the film. I've just spoiled it now entirely, haven't I? But yeah, I don't know. It'd be nice to have the full set in one hand, but on the other hand, I don't have to buy like loads of figures you don't really want. Oh, incidentally, going back to backing cards, here's the ones for the other versions of Kane. Maybe that's John Hurt's ear? Yeah, I'm guessing they definitely didn't have the rights to John Hurt's face, and probably Ian Holmes as well. So there we have it. Or do we? No, there is a little bit more. For I was at HorrorCon in Sheffield a few weeks ago, and I got, yep, they're doing blind boxes of repainted aliens. Japanese type 1 on the left, non-Japanese type 1 on the right. Collect all 3, and that one's got 4. Contains one 3.75-inch xenomorph. A1 blind series, A2 blind series. Right, what can we get? I've been really waiting to open these. Acid green, 4 out of 12 per case. Blue blood, 2 out of 12 per case. And gloss black, 6 out of 12 per case. Which one do I want? Acid green is just pointless. You just don't get green and it'll just look wrong. The gloss black is too similar, frankly, to the metallic one there, isn't it? Probably. Yeah, I'm definitely looking at that. I want the blue blood one, but it's rare. 2 out of 12 per case, so the chances are I have not got that. Right, let us see. Bum-ba-dum-bum-ba-dum-bum-ba-dum. I think I've got the blue blood one. Oh, it's very blue blood. Perhaps take back wanting this one now. It's a little bit pastely. Do you know, that's something I think of. I'm just going to nip back, actually. Talk about the Ash figure here. That paint does seem a bit sort of pastely and chalky. I don't know. They didn't tend to get on the 70s stuff, I found. But anyway, that's just an observation from me. And here is... Well, I got the rare one, guys. And, ooh, the blood splat's been done quite well. It really does look a bit unpleasant. The blue there. It looks a little bit like an NES palette or something, but yeah, it's not at all bad. Not at all bad. Let's take this off. And does he dispense? Yay! Yay! Blue Pez. Marvellous. Let's put your brain back on. That's, yeah, I mean, if you're going to have a novelty colour one, it's more interesting than the black and it's better than the green, isn't it? Yes, I am still pleased I got that. And it's a rare one. Hooray! What's in this one? How did I not cut... I distinctly remember... I cut the bottom one by accident. I'm a twit. I was going to say, I distinctly remember cutting the sellotape. Right. Ooh, I like that. What were the options? I just got excited and opened it straight up. Dwarf Star, a sort of bluey colour, which, no, it's not very interesting. Space Dust, a sort of wood colour. That one actually looked quite good. Blood Moon, sort of whitey yellowy with red on. I'm not into that. And Supernova, who knows? But it's the rarest of them all. Look, only 1 out of 12. Oh, well, this one looks like the most common out of those. Well, equal to the Blood Moon. But it looks rather nifty. How do I... Oh, he's got it. Oh, no, he's escaped. Here he is. Oh, yeah, I really like that, actually. I know it's not that... accurate to any of the aliens from the first film, by which I mean the alien, because there's only one. until we got to the sequels. 1986, Aliens, another fucking fantastic film, and still often held up as an example of how to do a sequel properly, and I totally agree. And then Diminishing Returns. You get Alien 3, which was a David Fincher film, which was a mess, and they sort of didn't make the film you wanted. There's superior edits of it out now, and then there's Alien Resurrection, which isn't really that good. I vaguely enjoy it, but as an Alien film's a bit shite. And then you've got Prometheus, which is just a load of stupid people acting stupid with a big budget. I'm referring to both kind of the director and writers there and the characters in the film. And then you got Alien Covenant, which sort of an embarrassment all round, really. The worst thing about that is they try and recreate the kind of way the crew interacted from the first Alien film. You know, with Idris Elba playing Steven Still's accordion or something utterly ludicrous. Anyway, let us not talk about that. Let us look at this nice brown alien thing. And I use the term nice under advisement. Oh, that's great. Really, really like that. That is a quality paint job there. That is my fave of the new ones. Well, there we are. There are the interesting bits and bobs. They've actually made muscle figures. If you remember Muscle, the little wrestlers, I think they were Kanokuman or something in Japan. Can't remember off the top of my head. But yeah, the little pink wrestlers, different colours later. They've made ones of the alien figures. But that, my friends, is another video for another day. So yeah, overall, I mean, I love the fact they've brought back figures from the dead, so to speak. That's fantastic. The continuation is a little bit weaker than I would like. Eventually you're going to get them all by the sounds of it, but pain in the arse way to buy them. And this ReAction thing, if you didn't know, by the way, these old style action figures have spread like wildfire, and you can just buy them for nearly everything, for things that make no sense. I mean, if it's like a property from the late 70s or early 80s, it makes sense to have figures like that. But they did like Firefly figures in this style. I mean, that was from the 90s, man. The action figures at the time would have been completely different to this sort of thing. They've made figures like this for the recent Arrow TV show. It's just become kind of an aesthetic of its own, as opposed to, you know, being there for a reason. Oh, well. I do have a few more of these, actually, for different things, non-alien ones. I might do a video on those in the future. Why the devil not? But until then, if you haven't seen Alien, go and watch the bloody thing, and then watch Aliens afterwards. And then maybe have a shower, eat a sandwich. It's up to you, really.
Subscribe for more.